Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast. Introducing your host from New York, here is Sam Roberts.
Thanks everybody for coming. Let's all give a round of applause first.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't say what it was for. It was for Cody Rhodes, but I didn't mention that was what it was for. They just started applauding.
No, that's perfect.
Instantly.
I think Sam deserves a very big, raucous round of applause for
so?
doing this. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So,
are we truly live, by the way?
I mean, we're live to tape.
Oh, so okay. So if things go totally off the rails, it's okay, right?
Right. Well, if things go totally off the rails, it'll probably just stay.
Perfect.
But I've been in this building many times. Most of these people are familiar faces. You guys have been in this building many times, but you have never been in this building, correct?
Never.
So what's it like? It's been how long that you've been on the independent circuit? A month?
I think this is week 4.
And what's it been like?
So when I walked in today, Cole Cabana asked me, he said, have you had a really bad one yet?
Yeah.
He said, as much as you've had really good ones like PWG and Northeast Wrestling, everything so far has been really good. He said, you'll really enjoy when you have a bad one. when there's more people backstage than there are out there,
right.
when it's like crickets and you can just the ring falling apart and all that. I have yet to have that, but I'm waiting for the moment it happens. But so far, everything has been sold out or close to sold out, very flattering, and it's been really exceptional.
Well, this checklist that you put together is it's all super matches. So everything on that checklist would be a great show. You didn't put anything on the checklist, I would think, that would be like, I'm not going to that. I'm not showing up for that.
No, yeah.
But so do you want to be doing this? Because it seems like you're trying to hit everything that you wanted to hit in short order.
I didn't intend to breeze through the list as quick. And I don't know if you know this. Did everybody see the list? Did you guys see the list? So I made the list, but my handwriting is terrible. So I made the list, and we took the picture, and I thought, it looks like I look uneducated.
Yeah.
I look uneducated, and I think some stuff was actually misspelled. So
and by the way, you can show up to as many shows as you want wearing a beautiful suit. If everybody remembers you as the guy with terrible handwriting,
yeah,
it's never gonna
screwed.
Who are you fooling?
So I had Brandy redo the list. So the list, the actual list that you've seen is Brandy's handwriting. I didn't expect to go through it as quickly as we're going through it. So I'm not going to make us second list.
Right.
'Cause the sequels, other than Empire Strikes Back, sequels suck. So, well, okay, yeah, there we go. I mean, there are exceptions, but a second, I have a mental second list because a ton of guys got pissed.
Did they?
Yeah, because some guys should have been on there, like Kenny Omega should have been on the list. Ricochet probably. We could yammer on.
Did you leave those guys like Ricochet and Kenny Omega off because you forgot, because you didn't want to get lofty, because?
I left Kenny Omega off because I got bad information from a friend of Kenny Omega's in WWE who told me Kenny Omega was going to WWE, which all wrestling is rumors and speculation. And
it's high school.
It's high school.
Yeah.
So there's just bad information. Whether it probably will eventually happen, but now that I thought about it, I felt bad leaving him off the list.
And it is funny because a guy like Kenny Omega, obviously at some point he'll be in WWE, and when
Yeah.
he is, that guy that gave you bad information is going to, Cody, I told you.
Now he's validated.
I told you.
Now
he's coming.
validated. Yep.
So, but you figured, okay, if they're going to WWE, you want this list to not be just a dream list, to actually be something that you can accomplish.
Yeah, and I wanted stuff people want to see, but also stuff people can see.
It seemed like you had the list ready quick. Is this a list that was in your head while you were in WWE?
Well, when you're sitting there for 3 to 6 months planning your escape, you're coming up with everything you can think of. Because social media is the ticket now as far as people's continued ability to follow you.
Yes.
You don't need TV as much as we once did. Out of sight, out of mind is not real anymore because they can follow on social, and there's all these different platforms. It's essentially a business. So I called it a rollout. And little known fact, a few other guys said that they were also going to leave that they were frustrated, they were unhappy. So there was kind of like this rallying
We're
cry.
right behind you,
yeah.
Cody.
And then like D-Day comes and just me. Just me. And I
look
thought,
behind you. You guys coming? Or?
And I didn't even like ask or whatever, but I was just like, we had kind of this discussion. Not that it was needed, because I did just, it was personally just time for me to go. It's time for them to let me go. But man, it would have been a different day.
I'm assuming that you're not going to tell me who those names were.
My God, no.
But
no.
Watching or being aware, because I know you've said in other interviews that you haven't watched WWE really since you've left, but being kind of aware of what's happening since obviously you have friends.
Kevin won the title, right? I'm caught up on Kevin won the title.
He did.
Correct?
He won the title.
And then we all came to Kevin's defense because of the dickhead from ESPN, right?
Right.
Okay.
That happened.
Okay.
That happened.
I got really fired up about it, and then found myself like, what are we doing? Like, why are we? What is happening? Because Kevin is not doing anything. What is happening?
It's easy to jump on that rage bandwagon.
Oh yeah, I'm rage filled.
You are
rage filled, especially when it's like traditional wrestling stuff. I'm rage filled. I don't know why, but good example. PWG last week. Chris Hero wrestles Jushin Thunder Liger. The referee is a young, new referee, nice guy, but something that you'd never see in WWE that perhaps you'd see on an independent is after the match, instead of like, oh, thank you so much, and how'd I do? He comes up to Jushin Liger, and he's like, hey, can I get a picture?
Totally.
And handed me his phone. And I took it, but as I was taking it, I was just like filling with rage about like how this would. Bill Watts would never, and I don't even know Bill Watts. I'm like, Bill Watts would never let this happen.
You were raised with so much wrestling tradition that you're not one of these like '90s kids who watch. You're an '80s territory mindset person.
I'm an old soul.
Yes.
And I am very much in the minority, so I keep a lot of my like insider terms. People get real mad when they're like, "Oh, Cody, come on." That's like, it's just my preference.
Right.
It's not. I don't.
So you're saying you've got heat with all the guys who use insider terms?
No, I have no.
You see what I just did,
heat.
though, right?
Yeah, no, I have no heat because I'm clearly in the minority. But I'm just an old soul. I feel like I'm 20 years too late.
Right.
For when I was supposed to be around, but it's just me.
The guys that were supposed to follow you out the door, are you aware of what they're doing now without saying who they are?
Yeah.
And are they in better places than they were?
One is happier. One is not happy at all. And that one is just a fun every day, a good text message back and forth about like, just because you would never want to encourage somebody to like. I don't want to encourage anyone to do anything they don't want to do.
Sure.
I want but. There's more than one like ball game in town. WWE is wonderful. They have WrestleMania. They do all these like charitable things. They're really just the biggest game in town. But if you look around, like you'll out here tonight, like these aren't little rinky-dink shows.
Mm-mm.
These are big ass shows, and everything feels real special. So, I think their concern in the bubble is that, well, what about money? What about that? Like, come on, man. Like, sometimes you gotta take a chance, you know.
Yeah.
And if it's a bit of a pay cut, it's a bit of a pay cut. But so far, I honestly really hasn't been. Like, because we're working so frequently in so many different places, and yeah, no. I think in the bubble, you think WWE is the only thing.
And there are other guys that have relayed similar opinions that they've left WWE and kind of worked regular on the indies.
Yeah. And
if you can work regular and also get your merchandise game right and figure out the digital thing, a lot of them are not taking pay cuts.
The merchandise element is I haven't got it right yet.
You haven't figured it out?
Oh, no.
What's wrong with it?
So I got like a box.
Because, in WWE,
yeah,
your merchandise game was as tight as anyone's game could be. You had gloves, you had masks, you had T-shirts, you had lunchbox, you had anything you could, action figures.
I loved the gloves.
You did.
Because when I would haphazardly pack my bag, I would forget the gloves a lot. So I would just go up to the merch stand and just get like 2 or 4 of the gloves for the weekend, and then we'd usually like throw those ones out to the crowd. But I loved the gloves. What I've misappropriated is I got like 1 box for the first 4 weeks, like literally 1 box. Like, this is perfect. This is I don't want to overestimate my ability to sell these shirts.
Sure.
I went out for 10 minutes at Reseda, and that's all people do in Reseda is buy shirts.
At Pro Wrestling
Yeah,
Go,
Pro Wrestling Glue. That's all they do, and within 10 minutes, the box was gone.
I mean, and it really is. That's the culture of PWG, because the guys, for those that haven't been, will literally sit on the ring apron and sell their. Which, by the way, for a traditional guy.
Yeah.
You go to PWG and you see guys sitting on the ring to sell their T-shirts. Is there anything that strikes you as a traditionalist about that part being wrong?
Oh, the funny part is the beer line. The beer line, because they do the pictures there, wraps also around the ring.
Yes.
So you're like right there, and they may not be interested in talking to you or buying your shirt, and it's just like,
they're on the beer line.
What's going on? How are you?
But the real guys who have their merchandise game together, those are the guys selling to the guys on the beer line.
Yeah, no.
Like, just because they didn't come to buy your shirt doesn't mean they're not buying a shirt.
For sure. I wanted to try it. I don't think I'll do the ring selling. I wanted to try it once, kind of have a sense of occasion and where I was at. I don't think it's for me. But I did enjoy it while I was out there. Plus, it's 1,000 degrees in that building, so you're just sweating on these shirts that you're giving people, and so.
But that's to get back to your point you were making before. You're sending texts like to this mystery superstar with like pictures of you wrestling like Kurt Angle and guys like that. Like, this is what's going on over here.
Yeah, I anything like anything that can get under their skin a little bit, I'm interested in doing. Plus, there's a lot more like freedom to do. Like, hey, I'm gonna do this, and like, and they're very. We're being so vague about who these individuals are, this clandestine group that did not leave.
I like it.
With me.
I feel like the vaguer we get, the more like it's like I know he's talking about Cena, like it's like the bigger stars. Like
it was him. It was him.
When you hear from the guy who's happy there, is there ever a moment, as much fun as you're having right now, because everything is going even I would assume better than you expected.
It is.
Is there ever a moment where you go, oh, like maybe if I had waited a month, I would have been one of the happier guys?
No, because the draft thing came, but let's be totally honest. 6 months before the draft thing came, they told us the draft thing was going to happen, and we filmed these commercials with these flags, and the commercials ended up being Sci-Fi, SmackDown coming to Sci-Fi.
Right.
So everyone was very aware of the draft. Split. No one was particularly aware of where they're going or that nature, but I did ask in my second to last week, I asked someone who I trust very much on the creative team, and I'm still friends with today. I said, is there a plan? Because we had a plan going into WrestleMania, and that plan got kiboshed, so that was one of the, anyways, I asked him, and he said, no, there's currently no plan. Mm-hmm. So when I look at the draft and stuff, I don't feel like it would have changed. I don't think it would have changed for me because like big believer in whatever you're given. Sure. If you're a magician, if you're Stardust, if you're whatever you're given, you have the chance to go out. It's your TV time. That's you. That's your moment. You go out and you can make Vince literally look up from his phone and go, oh, that worked. Let's keep going with it. The issue with me was I felt like I was boxed into just doing Stardust, so it didn't seem possible anymore. For the first time ever in my career, it felt like it was no longer possible to win, even to maximize the minutes and win segments just in a viewer perspective. So it was a part of the decision and made it a lot easier for me to go, yeah, no, this isn't.
Did you ever get an answer? Because it was obvious that, like, in the beginning, Stardust was a little more of a priority, and he became a character that was not a priority. Was it ever made clear to you why they were making you stick with Stardust? Why we're not quitting on Stardust?
Honestly, no. And it was like, if you have like your creative team, and then you have Vince, obviously. It kind of felt like it was like a 9-10 vote that obviously Stardust is. We're done with this. Like, this has outlived the lifespan that was supposed to last 3 months.
Right.
2 years in, we're obviously done with this. But he just didn't see it that way, and that was his preference. And I think he liked Stardust a lot. I think he enjoyed it, but I don't know how he enjoyed it. I think he might have enjoyed like, oh, maybe it's like funny to him, or like I think he enjoyed it. And the pageantry behind like Stardust with like some of this cool stuff they let me do. Like I'd run out and I'd jump on the barricade and I had that jib cam shot that was all mine. And the wardrobe elements of Stardust were so much fun. And just the music had this, it was clearly ripped from a very famous rap song. I'm trying to think which it is. If you listen to it, you can hear.
I'll listen for it.
Yeah,
now.
it's clearly ripped off terribly. But the pageantry side of Stardust was a lot of fun. And I think maybe that's what he saw. Like just, I don't think he looked at it from my perspective in the slightest, and I think that's hard for anyone to just jump into your head and know that, oh, this is, I did not want to do what Dustin does.
Right.
That to me is a living hell. That's what he does. It is. I hadn't done that. So.
And it's really interesting because in other interviews that you've done, even when you were with the company, whoa.
Who is it?
Let's knock him to vibrate, huh? But even you've talked a lot about not wanting to do things that your dad did.
Yes.
Not wanting to do the elbow, not wanting to do polka dots, not wanting to even nothing. To be your own guy, acknowledge the family history, and then create this new thing. And then you get stuck doing what your brother did.
Yeah.
Which is ironic.
So I didn't not want to do Dusty and not want to do Goldust because I don't think they're great and it's not because I don't love them. It was because I do love them and I do think they are great. So if you go out and you do someone's finishing maneuver that you're related to and the crowd cheers, I feel like they're not cheering for you. They're cheering for the nostalgia. They're cheering for whomever was the one who really made us look at that maneuver. And that was just my approach to it. And that's a stubborn-ass approach, but it's more gratifying to say, that's why I, early stages, dyed my hair black, and I was, an antagonist. I was a villain in WWE, and that was great because Dusty was a lifelong hero, and Goldust was, this bizarre, larger-than-life character. So I wanted to be able, at the end of the day, we have talked about this, where if you put us all boom boom on paper, everybody looks different. And it's oh, cool. Look at the family makeup. Look at the rotundas. Look at that's the way to do it. Bray isn't out there telling people to pay their taxes.
Right.
I would love it if he took up if he did, but one night I would love it.
And by the way, I've watched him do interviews with people who think they're cute and be like, "Hey, did your dad do your taxes?" And the way he can make somebody feel uncomfortable for asking that stupid question,
I'm sure
it's blissful.
I'm sure. Yeah, but he's doing it correctly, and that's look at Husky Harris that. It takes a few runs at it, and part of being a second or third generation is falling on your ass and failing on occasion. Hey, this didn't work.
Right.
I feel like the first year of my career wasn't working. Plucky underdog. What's exciting about that? Not doing anything cool in the ring, and then not learning from Bob is one thing and great, and Bob gave that rub to me. But yeah, no, that's the correct way to do it. So when they asked me, and it's weird that Vince would ask me because he is also a second, third generation, he is also a multi-generational. It was a bizarre ask, but when I first got the concept art, because whenever Creative Services gets on something with WWE, they intend to invest in it, so that makes you feel good. So Creative Services is a department that's responsible for some of the greatest characters in WWE. They're artists and seamstresses and all this, and they make all this concept art. The first stuff I saw for Stardust was the coolest stuff ever, and it was right along the lines of the comic book villain. It was silver hair, there was a star on my eye, there was one contact. It looked a lot like Cable in the X-Men.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to be okay.
Right.
I'm going to be okay here.
Because that's I get to do this, but it's still kind of badass.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I can wear a bodysuit and maybe I can stop working out for a few weeks. I was like, I'm going to be okay. And then every week he was like, well, this is what he picked and this is what he picked. And it was becoming more and more a carbon copy of Goldust. And there's pictures of it online. I don't think any of the boys posted them. At the last minute, I was supposed to have a mask. And the mask looked like a black condom on top of my head. And it was just terrifying. And they made me go up to the production meeting room and stand there in this get up. And I lifted it up. I said, I cannot do this. This I cannot do. And then it became, well, why don't you shave your head like Dustin? And I was like, so I'm just going to be like mini Dustin,
right.
Because Dustin's like 11 feet tall for whatever reason. So I'm going to be like mini Dustin. And then, I even had a fight at the very last minute. Well, I'd like to do silver and black. It's like, no, first gold and black. And it just got, nothing. So all this fun, I'm going to tweet some of it out because it will harm no one. And some of this concept art was so cool, and then it went away. And I tried slowly to get there.
I did know, like Stardust did, as you broke away from Goldust, did start to become a superhero villain. And that was, I felt like, more when you were doing the stuff with the Ascension and when you're doing like the Black Room promo things that you were doing.
The Cosmic Wasteland.
Yeah. That
would have been a real success had Cesaro not got hurt. So we blame the whole thing on Cesaro.
You think so?
Gosh, no. I love Cesaro dearly. We don't blame him. But for weeks we're sitting in the crowd and they keep giving me these props, like a monocle, a opera glass.
Yeah.
I was like, this is the most fun ever. Yeah. And like, you can be out here with the people. And then like, one of these days he's going to jump the barricade on his runaround and just uppercut me into like high heaven, and we'll be off and running. And son of a gun got hurt, and the Cosmic Wasteland just went into the wasteland, just fizzled.
Black hole sucked it up.
Yeah, it sucked us all up. Couldn't handle it.
It was surprising to me when I started hearing about the real life story of Stardust, because I don't know how many of you guys.
Real life story.
That's right. Stardust behind the dust. I don't know how many of you guys have seen the interviews that Stardust and I have done, but when Stardust, regardless of whether you were happy in the moment or not, when you talk about a level of commitment, like these press junkets, because you guys see it on YouTube and stuff, but these press days before WrestleMania, before a SummerSlam, it's at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Like it's first thing in the morning. It's like everybody's exhausted.
It's called Radio Row.
It's Radio Row.
Nobody wants to do Radio Row.
It's interview after interview. Most of the interviews are these like schlocky DJs that don't even really know a lot about wrestling. Like and Stardust is showing up, but like Cody, you showed up
ready to go.
Full face paint.
Yeah.
Full gear, like you wake up an hour early to
I had my
sure.
knee pads on for whatever reason.
Well, it's part of the outfit, right? And I was told by a person that nobody asked you to do that. And by the way, I remember because I interviewed you and Dustin on the same day separately, and like
he wasn't decked out.
Not even a little.
No.
And that's why I say Dustin, because I wasn't talking to Goldust, and I was like, I mentioned that you had dressed up, and he was like, yeah, I don't know, that's his thing. I don't know why he's doing that really. Why did you? Is that how you feel like you have to perform? Like whether you're going to make the best of it, you have to commit. Why did you do that on press days?
Commitment to Stardust made me feel better.
It did?
Because I didn't like talking to people as Cody Rhodes, because I thought Cody Rhodes was cooler than Stardust. So I didn't like talking to people as myself about Stardust and about the portrayal of it. I figured, you know what? We're bringing them.
Right.
We're just going to go. It's going to be a Stardust morning. I don't know. There was when you wear a mask in wrestling, whether it's a real mask or whether it's paint, there's a protective barrier where you can do more and you can get away with more and say more and try more stuff out. And that was my chance to do that. I actually am one of the few who looked forward to those. Because if you're not getting like a lot of television time where you're on the mic every week and you're doing like the opening of Raw and stuff like that, you need your reps. You need to learn who you are, what you're saying, what catches on, what doesn't. So I always
and it's also it's not like it's not hitting an audience. Like sometimes I'll talk to guys that obviously don't want to be doing an interview, and I'm like, guys, if we do this right, this is going to do 100, 200,000 views on YouTube. These are eyes on you that are going to buy shirts and tickets.
Did you ever interview Wade Barrett?
You've interviewed. Yes. I interviewed him only like not a long sit down, but yeah.
I'll never forget. Wade hated Radio Row, just like feverishly hated it, and he has that deep, strong British accent, I suppose. And we'd get on the shuttle and just the things he would say and just what he's going to do and who he's going to call. And I'm never doing this again. I'll never forget the very last one that I did. The very last Radio Row was in San Jose. And it's 5 a.m. and we're waiting for the shuttle to pull around to take us all over to where Access is. And he comes down and he's smiling and he's got this cold brew coffee with him. And I'm thinking, what's the situation here?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? Apparently, and he may not like me telling the story or not, he was at the time dating one of the girls who was at Radio Row, who I believe worked for Sky Sports. And I remember just like, it was the complete turnaround on the way that that's my last true memory of Radio Row, is like sitting in full paint in the bodysuit next to him, just smiling out the window, just slapping everybody on the shoulder. And I was like, what happened to you? Like, what is this place done?
So were you excited going into that, or were you like miserable going into Radio Row, and then you would turn it on, and once you got there, it was okay?
So I'm a frequent, as you can see, and terrible abuser of all things caffeine, all things related to caffeine. So Stardust would be at its utmost perfection when I had consumed copious amounts of caffeine.
I kind of, as somebody who sat through that,
that's why they usually, when I'd get there, Sam would be set up and they would say, we're going to go do Sam first. We want to give Sam our best. Because at the time you got to like local affiliate 6 and they're like super excited and you're just, WrestleMania is coming. Like, I would run out of gas pretty quickly. So.
And by the way, it'd be 2 people every time that I would notice that were staying from the beginning all the way till the end, because a lot of people would tap out, hit the majors, and go. You, in character, and Miz. Miz is the other guy that like would do every single interview there. And I mean, like, I'd get there at like 5:30. He's already there.
He doesn't
and, like,
run out of
I'm
energy.
packing up at 11:30 in the morning, and he's finishing up his last interviews.
There's nobody like Miz in all of wrestling. There is nobody. I hate saying nice things about Miz because there's nobody like him. His commitment to trying to be a better wrestler, which he still is actively doing, his commitment to try and be the loudest guy in the room, but one who draws your attention in a positive way. His run to the WWE Championship when he was, out there doing the interview about getting kicked out of the locker room and stuff. Like, he took his real life story and he is, like, it does pain me, but like, he's on the level of Cena as far as work ethic. In terms of work ethic. John Cena's clearly the hardest working guy in WWE, but then there's some guys that you don't know who are right on his level, who draw and help pull the wagon with him, and Miz is certainly one of them. You may not think it when you look at the card sometimes, and all these cool guys coming from NXT and all the buzz and equity and guys who are coming from the independents, but believe me, Miz is he's next level special.
Yeah.
Next level special, yeah.
Let's go back to Dustin. So it's in 90.
I hate Dustin. I love him, but gosh.
But like, what was your relationship like with him when you were young? Did you have a relationship with him when you were young?
So yes and no. Dustin and I, we have different mothers, and we're 16 years apart. And he got on the road really early in his, youth. We had different experiences with my dad, for sure. But he, when he was like early WCW, right after he'd done the thing in the WWF with my dad, I thought he was the coolest guy ever. At the Omni, he'd come out, the natural Dustin Rhodes, and he'd get what I guess people call it a chick pop, when like all the women scream chick pop.
Is that a chick pop?
Yeah, chick pop. I don't know, but
I love that. Like, the man who is against.
Yeah, that's
industry,
like the best way to describe.
You're just giving more terms to all of us.
Chick pop. You get the chick pop, and like I thought, man, he's the coolest guy ever. Like, and he was really talented, like super good in the ring. And Dustin and I are both somewhat self-trained because everyone assumes, they're good. They know how to do it. We don't know how to do anything. Like, even know how to put it like a headlock on. Like, we don't know how to do anything, and you learn as you go. And he learned as he went in such a great fashion. I thought he was the coolest guy ever. So it's pretty well documented after that. Him and my dad had this big falling out, which rightfully so. They needed to settle their issues because my dad was on the road for Dustin's life, whereas with me, my dad was with me for everything. So Dustin had very obvious grievances, and they had their falling out. So I missed it all. I missed Goldust. It was 7 true years of them not speaking to each other at all.
Wow.
And that's like the informative years of your life, like my adolescence, being a teenager. And he came back around my junior, senior year in high school. And that's when everything got reformed. And it was really wonderful and beautiful. And so glad that he got to reconnect with my dad because they became like great friends. But the problem in that area was I didn't get to know him well.
Growing up.
Yeah, I didn't get to know him. I feel like I didn't really get to know my brother until we actually tagged together.
Mm-hmm.
And people think, oh, what was it like growing up together? Well, we didn't grow up together. What was it like at the dinner table, buddy? Well, we never
two separate dinner
never ate
tables.
dinner together. Huh? But then we tagged together, and that was a really unique experience in terms of as when we were Cody and Goldust, and then when we were, Gold and Stardust, whatever they decided to call us. But yeah, that was when we got to know each other the most, and I'm very thankful to WWE for giving us a chance to get to know each other.
But by then there was no resentment about you being the one who got attention from your dad. That was squashed.
I don't know. I think it was squashed. My dad and I were best friends, and I think him and Dustin were best friends too. I don't think there was ever on my end like a competitive element of like who's better.
Right.
You want to like be like, oh, you want to be a better wrestler, but in like a positive way. But as far as like our relationship with Dad, Dustin had a different side. They'd go hunting, and I'm a terrible hunter.
Right.
They brought me once, and the deer was from me to you, and I missed. I missed. And then I dropped the gun, which is like the worst thing you can, and like you're gonna blow someone's head off, like drop. And then like I just sadly climbed down from the tree stand and saw them talking up in it, and I was like, yeah, they're not inviting me back. I'm not coming back.
You got one kid who's like a redneck like hunter guy.
Country
and you got
boys.
The other who's like a video game comic book nerd.
Yeah, very much. We were just opposite ends of the spectrum. So they had their things together, and me and Dad had our things together. And me and Dad, I'm lucky, and I'll admittedly I'm very lucky in that my dad was on the road. Not on the road anymore. He was retired, and he got to be with me every day. And he missed one wrestling match in terms of amateur wrestling I ever had. So the night he turned to the NWO.
Oh,
no.
no.
Was brokenhearted.
Yeah.
He was brokenhearted.
Not you, Dad.
I wanted to go save Larry Zbysko. Yeah, that was so we have very different childhoods. And
what did your family think? Obviously, it sounds like the relationship was over at this point, but just in terms of from afar, when Goldust debuts on TV, because 95, 96 Goldust is like the height of, homophobic, pushing buttons, razor tattoo on the chest. Like that was Goldust.
Yeah.
And and by the way, in 95, 96, you can watch that on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I can't overstate what a culture shock that was in pro wrestling in 1995.
So I think most people, especially because my dad's, he's a Texan. He was born in the 40s. I think most people assume that my dad would be uncomfortable with it. My dad was, because we'd watch the pay-per-views together, and now I think back, I'm like, God, that must have been hard for him. Like, we're sitting here watching these pay-per-views, and you don't speak to each other.
Yeah.
And we're being quiet, like the only time we're talking is during the other matches, and we're being quiet and watching. And I knew he was super proud of Dustin because WrestleMania 12, they do the OJ chase scene, and then he rips Goldust suit off, and Dustin has like the oversized, the plus size lingerie on. But the show is literally that OJ chase scene, the Hollywood Backlot Brawl, and then the Iron Man match. There's other matches, and they're great matches, but the way that was like the thread throughout the show. So that's WrestleMania. It's the biggest event in wrestling. So for him to be so featured, I could tell my dad was just over the moon with what he had done. I think my mom wasn't sure, should she be like, what is this? Or crazy about it. But I know he was really over the moon with what Dustin did. Funny story. The comedy club in LA that all the wrestlers go to? I'm
the Improv, the Comedy Store.
It's like the UCBB.
Sure.
Did I get it right? UCBB, something like that?
Well, there's UCB, and then there's
UCB.
Yeah, sure, UCB.
So And just sidebar, another one of my purest things. Not every pro wrestler should do stand-up comedy. So I'm not understanding
that
why.
may be coming from a comedy purist.
Everybody.
Point of view.
So the UCB has this show that Dolph invites me to, and I go begrudgingly because Dolph is my friend, so I want to support Dolph. But I don't want to fake laugh. If the jokes aren't good, what do I do? Like, what do I do? You know, if I'm gonna laugh because we're friends, but. Good thing was it wasn't a stand-up set. It was a improv about wrestling, and it was the night before SummerSlam. It was an amazing show, but a character came out, and it was essentially Goldust in 1995, but it's 2016. So he came out, and he goes, "I'm Goldust, and you know what? Being gay is gonna get me heat." And then this guy, his plant, stands up in the back row. He goes, "No, man, it's cool. It's 2016." And then he goes, "Oh yeah? Well, what if I kiss this guy? I bet you're gonna hate it, and it's gonna get me heat." So then these other two plants stand up and go, "No, man, this is L.A." And they kiss each other. He goes, "Oh, look at that. What about the heat there?" And you can tell he's like, the set was like he's getting more and more frustrated that Goldust in 2016 is only making people really like happy. And by the end of it, there's like 20 people standing up in the audience, just like one person like threw a big like rainbow like streamer, and he just like crept to the back like, "Oh no, you guys hate it. I can tell you guys hate it." And it was honestly one of like the most funny things I'd seen. It makes me think about 1995, 1996. Coming into school and people just like, I can't repeat what poor me had to hear about, you know, like, and then like, I don't have a defense because I'm not hanging out with Dustin at the time. Like, well, he's married, okay? He's, you know, like, yeah, like when Marlena came around, it was super helpful because I was like, well, but they're together, you know? Like, yeah, it was a very like,
I mean, it really is.
Cover.
When you watch back on the network, like I was watching some of the episodes of Raw leading up to that Royal Rumble match with Razor, and like, Razor is like the biggest good guy because he's mad because Goldust has a crush on him.
Yeah.
And it's like it would be completely the opposite now. It wouldn't even fly now, but it would be totally the opposite.
Yeah, no, the people would want it.
Yeah.
They'd want it,
like,
you know?
Why are you not
Come on,
including
man.
this guy?
Yeah.
Why are you being mean?
They'd want it, yeah, no.
How much of your dad passing do you think motivated you leaving the company, like because you say you were thinking about it for a long time, but making that kind of ballsy move to be like, no, because everybody thinks about leaving the company they're working for.
Yeah, of course.
No matter what company you're at,
they tell you they're going to leave, and then the day comes, and you're just the only one.
Exactly,
you know,
exactly. But to finally make that move, do you think that your dad passing made you look at things a different way and allowed you to make that kind of super bold move?
So I was really big on not listening to my dad when it came to business because my dad thought I was like the greatest thing ever, and I'm not the greatest. Like he had this like super pride in me that was like just probably unwarranted. He just thought I was really good, and he would always encourage me to stand up for myself. And I told this to I think I told this to Aubrey Sitterson. That after WrestleMania in Miami with Big Show, he told me you should ask for time off or your release because you can leverage it. You know, like, oh, we don't want to upset Cody. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
And that type of business move at the time I didn't want to take his advice. Actually, Hunter was always big on like, you know, your dad's too close to this. Don't just let him be your sounding board. And that is actually good advice because I would he's going to be here tonight. I talked to guys like Ric Flair. I talked to, you know, the agents, the producers, Road Dogg, Arn Anderson, guys like that, and get their feedback because their business, they're looking at it from a business. He was looking at it from a father standpoint. Fast forward to now, he was right. Like, and it sucks because like I wish I had taken the advice then, but he was right about, maybe not about leveraging, but he was right about being happy. He's like, it's one of those things where you complain, and then finally you say like, hey, if you're not happy, do something about it. And I wasn't happy. So he was right. And the hardest part of the year was essentially having multiple funerals, because we have a memorial for my dad that the entire NXT and Performance Center comes to, and the elite industry, is out sitting in front of me as I'm giving this eulogy about my dad, and that's something that you have to do when someone passes away. You have to make the best to honor them and not just be sad on that day. But then, we're going to do this tag team tournament, and we'd like you to come speak at the end. And I'm like, well, it's essentially another eulogy. And then, we're making the statue of him, and all these wonderful things. But the whole time I was doing it, I thought, God, why didn't I just take this year off? You know what I'm saying? Why didn't I just, because it wouldn't have been fair to come back and be Cody Rhodes, because that's the cheapest cop-out, just, I'm going to do it for Dusty. That's just horseshit. That would have been, my dad would have hated that. So I didn't want to do that, because I would have hated it too. But then I also didn't want to be Stardust, but I had to kind of defend my position on Stardust, and I got lucky because I got roped into the thing with Stephen Amell. But that was looking at it now, in short, almost everything my dad told me that I never listened to was right. And he was right about needing to leave WWE because it was kind of breaking my spirit. You don't ever want the place you work to break your spirit.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it tough at all for you? How do you react to people? Because it seemed like, especially, it was happening before his passing, to be fair, but especially since his passing, it seemed like anyone that ever had an interaction with Dusty had a story about how he was the most influential person that's ever. Is that tough for you to see, being that you're the guy who grew up with him, or is it just you know what, Dad did touch a lot of people?
Yeah, it's tough, but it's also super flattering. You don't want to hear it because you're not ready. But also, you don't want to reject their time to tell you what he did. I was at a show in Dallas on Thursday, and a fan brought me a pair of boots, and they said, "These are your dad's." And I thought, no, couldn't be my dad's. And then I look at them and I go, "Oh, these are his." I can tell. I can tell by the way the toe is taped. And it's I didn't want to take them. These are yours, this is your connection to him. So I really do enjoy hearing people's connection. Because I don't know if you know this, my dad was a bit of a hyperbole artist. So growing up, and I said this about him once, growing up, has everybody seen the movie Big Fish? Big Fish?
Yeah.
Has anyone seen it? Okay, essentially, the story of this father, these stories sound like they're the most unbelievable thing you have ever heard. And as a child, you're like, no, that couldn't really happen. One of them, for example, is he told me that in the Congo, or maybe Nigeria, that it might have been him and Flair, or him and Blackjack Mulligan, they're having this match, and that the military is storming over the field to the country is in the middle of a coup, and they're storming over the field in the middle of their match, and they're seeing it go on, and there's tear gas being thrown, and it just sounds like come on,
right.
There's not a war happening while you and Blackjack Mulligan are wrestling in the ring.
While the match is happening.
And he said, but then the tear gas stopped, and you saw the soldiers just lined up in the backside, because it was just like a big soccer field that they were on. You saw them, and they're just watching the show. I thought, okay, nah, that's not a real thing. So fast forward, we're at a motivational speech my dad gave in Vegas, and at the end of the speech, they opened up to Q&A. This guy stands up in the back. This is the deepest, African, dialect and accent that I've ever heard, and he just starts crying, and I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, what's happening? He goes, "I was there, and you saved me, and you saved my family, and I think you and Blackjack saved the country." And I'm just I'm taking in every feature of this man, because I'm I need to ask him directly after this event, who are you? and what how is this a real thing? And that was one of the things that's why I like hearing people's stories, because I noticed so many of the stories are true.
Right.
Do you, like, for example, do you know what a flying colonel is?
I don't know what a flying colonel is.
So I think I'm all big shot. I'm a million miler on Delta. And at my age, I thought that's a pretty good deal. If you ever, like the movie Up in the Air, that's wrestling essentially. Let's compare our rewards programs and where we're at. And
by the way, I love your education for film. There are so many wrestlers that I talk to that have just let movies pass them by.
Oh,
like
no.
They just haven't seen any of them.
no, Up in the Air,
Yeah.
it's worth it. Please see it. But my dad is flying to Sacramento with WWE to do a show that I begged him to do with me and Rey Mysterio. I begged him to do it. And he says I upgraded him to first class because they weren't flying him first class, which was a super gripe I had. I upgraded him to first class with my miles. And he goes, oh, you didn't need to do that? I'm a flying colonel. And I was like, whatever. And me and my
So do you have that relationship when he goes, I'm a flying colonel? You're like, okay, Dad. Whatever.
yeah, no, I didn't.
Like,
I didn't believe it
Yeah.
because me and my CPA we're all sitting, all three of us sitting together, and he's telling me I'm diamond, you're diamond. Oh, that sucks, Dusty, that you lost all your status. You know, what do you know? You don't have the status because you're not flying so much because you do lose your status. And I'm thinking flying colonel because I know, I follow this Delta map to a T. It's silver, gold, platinum, diamond. That's it. You can be a million miler, but those are the statuses. There's nothing else. That's it. And here's what you're afforded with each one because that's a big part of being on the road. And he goes, oh, I'm a flying colonel. Me and my CPA, we literally laugh at him. We laugh in his face. Fast forward to this flight. We're getting on Sacramento. I've upgraded him to first class, which we go to board. Scans his boarding pass in front of me. And the lady's taking his boarding pass. She goes, oh, I got to take care of you. And my dad goes, that's right. And I'm thinking, what's the situation here? and she's like, there's only 13 of you left, you know. And I'm thinking, what are we talking about? So we get on the plane, and I said, was that like a red coat thing? Because back in the day, the Delta red coats, they used to know a lot of the wrestlers really well. He goes, no. Slides his boarding pass to me. Right where it's supposed to say Mileage Elite Plus. It says his number, and it says Flying Colonel. And there were only 13 living at the time. It was the original rewards program for Delta. It does not exist. They just still print it on the boarding pass, and I kept the boarding pass because
That's amazing.
It was that tends to be everything. As I meet fans and meet people who knew him, I'm blown away. Too many of the stories were true.
It's like you're living this life being like, I know none of the stories he's telling are true, and then you find out that there are stories. Not only were those all true, you haven't heard half of them.
No,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Oh man. So there are a lot of your schedule in terms of the independents.
Yeah.
Now that this is where you are, is like there's not a ton in advance. Like it doesn't look like you're going to be doing this forever based on your schedule. It doesn't even, I don't even know if you'll be doing it long enough to have one of those bum shows that Colt Cabana was telling you about. But
I want one.
You do.
I want one.
Well, here's what you know what you got to do. You got to get booked on a show that you're not advertised at.
That would be great too.
You got to just be like a mystery opponent or somebody and fight like a
I
Doink the
want a
Clown in
really
some
bad
local-
one, or do.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. What are your plans? Because you know, there's lots of theories out there. People are throwing New Japan out there.
Mm-hmm.
I've read TNA on the internet. And, Cody, I don't know if you know this, but the internet tends to be accurate.
It's always right.
Yeah. So, or, you know, a lot of people theorize that you could, maybe you're going to pop up in the Royal Rumble.
Oh.
After this run. You don't think so?
So, of all rumors, the Royal Rumble one is probably pretty far off.
Okay.
Things are a little rocky with the current WWE
yeah, January's a little too close.
relationship.
Yeah.
You never know.
But is TNA something you're looking at?
Best way to put it, because as you may know, if you read wrestling dirt sheets or whatever we call them now,
The Bible?
If you read, if you read those, things are reported as if they're fact. But
Right.
I don't want to disrespect or insult anyone's intelligence. If I put their name on the list, I'm gonna make efforts to get.
I see.
So, like, take a look at the list. Like, on the very top of the list is Adam Cole. So Adam Cole is in Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
And then there's Moose on the list, and Moose is in TNA. So the list is the list is the Bible for me, because nothing's worse than telling fans I'm going to do something, and then not doing it. So, I mean, he's sitting in the back. Pat Buck is on the list.
Yeah, well, I definitely want to get Pat Buck up here to talk about
Pat Buck is on the list, and I'm here because Pat Buck is on the list.
Yeah.
So the list is real to me, and I'd like to make it to as many of these places as I can. The New Japan thing is probably, and this is just me talking, it's probably the hardest thing to lock down.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to do everything I can because I think Shibata is just. You guys know Shibata? Like.
It's just like you're dropping like movie references.
Well,
it's
also
I don't know anything about this big fish thing you're talking about.
Shibata?
Yeah,
it's a terrible like.
We know Shibata.
Yeah, it's a terrible like. If you see him, he's just he's a man eater. He's just a killer.
Yeah.
Like so, it's a bad call for me, but still, it's who I want. It's who I want to be in there with. So I'm doing everything I can to make every name on the list happen. If that means making my way around, I already am signed to do Final Battle for Ring of Honor. In December. Don't have my opponent yet. Saw who the opponents might be, and that's going to be incredibly exciting. But the Ring of Honor relationship, I'm very much looking forward to. Mandy from Ring of Honor told me the other day at a show at Northeast Wrestling, she said, "Welcome to ROH." And I think I actually teared up because
awesome.
I never thought I'd leave WWE. So I rode with Daniel Bryan and Claudio and Kevin Owens and all these guys who have this Ring of Honor equity.
Yeah.
To be able to say like, yeah, me too. Like that that feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before I bring Pat up here, because I want to talk to him about finding out his name was on the list and talk to you guys about your relationship a little bit.
Yeah.
But what was the exit from WWE like? Was it this dramatic moment of, you're giving this to me, I'm not taking it, I'm out of here? Is it, look, guys, I've been fed up, I'm leaving? Like, what was the exit moment?
It was rather dramatic because nobody quits.
Right.
They fire you. Right. Nobody gets to quit WWE. And I wasn't going to have that. They were going to keep me there, whether it be out of respect for what I've done already or whether it just be out of respect for my dad. I was going to work there forever. And I am not one who the paycheck just is not worth, it's not worth your happiness. It's not. You
said on Aubrey Sitterson's podcast that you left 7 figures. Did you leave 7 figures on the table?
That is on Aubrey's podcast, I was drinking. I openly said in the beginning. I mean, that's fair because that's about, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, without like, oh, I'm so great. Yeah. But yeah, no.
You could clear that.
That was what it was. That was what it was going to be with WWE. But remember, all those years I had with them are also, they helped build up.
Sure.
The opportunity and the resources to say, you know what, guys, I don't need it currently. I'm gonna go do this stuff. It was dramatic because everyone wanted to talk me down, and you get to a point, like I said, 3 to 6 months.
When you say everybody wanted to talk you down, are you talking the wrestlers, or are you talking the management?
The wrestlers, the management, your closest mentors, your friends. They want to talk you down, and I couldn't be talked down. 3 to 6 months of legit planning the great escape, and I couldn't be talked down. The main thing I wanted to do to protect myself was I released my statement. And I know some people don't like people who overshare, but it was important for fans of wrestling in general to know what's happening here. Because I was not going, you guys don't get to fire me. You guys don't get to fire me. I gave you everything. I get to be the one to say, I get to fire you. And that didn't sit well with everybody. I did get a lot of wonderful and positive reinforcing text about good luck and here's what you should look out for. And, but that was kind of the dramatic. I think I included in the statement that I had the week before I'd been in Greensboro, North Carolina, dressing in the room that Dusty and Ric Flair dressed in for Starrcade 1983.
Right, I heard
and I looked in my bag and there's this damn trash bag that I have to put on.
With stars on it.
It was very nice, actually. But I was so begrudging in putting it on. And I actually told Kofi a week before. I had this big argument with one of my bosses. We won't say which one. Where I said, I'm not putting on that effing suit one more time.
Wow.
I thought that'll get him. That'll work. 20 minutes later, I'm putting the suit on. And I'm painting my face so sad in the mirror, and Kofi Kingston, I just see, like, pop around the corner and take a picture of me. So, yeah, no, it was dramatic, but it was the right time. And, hats off to WWE because they could have not let it happen.
Yeah.
They could have said, no, you're going to sit at home for 6 months. And, no, they made it happen with me. So, good for them in that regards.
I guess. Final Battle's going to be on pay-per-view, right? The Ring
Yeah.
Show?
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to be Cody Rhodes?
Oh, man. No. No, I cannot be Cody Rhodes on Evolve or Ring of Honor or wherever I go that is televised. That's ongoing, so that could change. I hope it changes.
But today.
But as of today, no. And I wish that was different, and it should be different. But I don't want to, like, especially with social media, you can, like, really get your message out there and let people know what's going on. I've kept this one kind of close because the last thing I want to do is bring up my dad's name in a, like, negative fashion.
Sure.
But Cody is just Cody for a little bit of time. I'm not going to come up.
No last name?
I'm not going to come up with a silly ass name or change it. You know, I've changed my name enough.
You have a real last name.
But I never met Virgil Runnels Sr. The plumber. I never met him. I'm sure he was cool.
Yeah.
But Dusty was my dad, Dusty Rhodes. So
That's really interesting.
I think that'll hopefully progress, but no.
So
I
you
am not
considered
allowed
yourself
to.
Cody
currently.
Rhodes when you're a kid.
Yeah, no, I actually used it. Part of the ongoing discussion is I used it prior to WWE in my state finals because I thought I'll go by Dad's name in my wrestling state finals, and it was on TV, so it was the first time I'd used it. So there are possibilities. You never know. We could end up in a resolution. Ongoing discussion.
I'm gonna let you get to your meeting.
Yeah, man.
Because you got money to make. And
Do
this is
I?
what it's-
I don't think Pat's paying me for
Oh,
it.
is that right?
I don't think Pat's paying me.
Well, Cody, thank you so much.
Thank you guys so
I really
much.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
This is great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Man, fun times. Thanks for coming in, everybody. Thank you.
Hey, it's Sam Roberts. I hope you enjoyed that wrestling interview from Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast. You can go to notsam.com to subscribe to that podcast. But I upload videos like that on this YouTube channel all the time. So if you don't already subscribe now. It's on the side of the page. I made it real easy. Click the button. Subscribe to the page. Subscribe to the page.